Okay, next we have our crypto gaming panel. We have on Yavin with us and Miles Anthony. Hi, welcome.
Hey, Cindy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Miles, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself and Decentral games?
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, we've been in the crypto gaming space for quite some time. Started Decentral Games in the midst of the last bear market in 2019. And yeah, we were just really bullish on the metaverse. Decentraland specifically had been part of the community since 2017, bought land in 2018, and just thought that, building games within the 3D environment, with crypto incentives would be popular. And yeah, started from really just like a tiny team in early 2019, and since then been able to expand our product suite, expand the team, and really find product market fit in our last product launch, which was Ice Poker. So it's basically a free to play and earn poker game within Decentraland currently. Launched it in end of October, and since then it's been around 6 months or so. Just been really trying to add different layers and additional gamification to the gameplay to just make it a bit more sustainable and just prepare for the next leg of growth. So yeah, excited to hop into this convo today.
Awesome, thank you. An, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, thank you for inviting me. I'm Yavin, the founder and the managing partner at Cointelligence Fund, a crypto VC that is completely focused on investing in the metaverse and more specifically blockchain-based games. Just as a brief introduction and background, I'm considered to be a serial entrepreneur. Started my first company before I turned 20. Since then, started and developed a few companies in different industries. 15 years ago, I started investing in startups as an angel investor. And I also became a lawyer. Doesn't have anything to do with one another. Since then, I mentored and advised hundreds of different startups over the years. And almost 5 years ago, I launched and started Cointelligence as a research company. We've analyzed more than 1,100 different blockchain and crypto companies before the fund's time. 2019, I established Cointelligence Academy, providing education services for blockchain and cryptocurrencies. We do it online and offline. And in early 2021, I started Cointelligence Fund, the fund that I mentioned before. And looking forward to the panel today.
Awesome, welcome. Miriam wasn't able to join us today. She has COVID, but she really wanted to be here. And for those of you that actually want to take a look at her work, it's Gaming Revolution, so check that out online. But I do want to actually just jump back into kind of what Miles was talking about. You mentioned something about having a sustainable architecture for your game. I think that's kind of a hot topic these days. Is like, how do you make gaming in the crypto space sustainable? And
Yeah, definitely. So, I think during a bull market, a lot of these play and earn games that launched kind of following Axie's success experienced massive growth and demand for their in-game assets, including with NFTs and tokens in the ecosystem. But a lot of them were kind of built with the ability to cash out pretty easily. And I know the last talk kind of dove into that. And so although it's great and, it's a great user experience to be able to cash out your tokens or sell your NFT on a marketplace and, swap it to stable coins or something that's transferable to fiat. When, things kind of cool off and the market turns a bit more bearish, I feel like, a lot of folks are more inclined to want to cash out. And so because it's so easy to do that, I think a lot of the times that we've seen over the last 3 months in a lot of the play and earn games, it's caused a lot of capital flight from the ecosystem. And so as a result, token prices dip, the floor prices of the in-game assets dip, and a lot of FUD kind of circulates in the community. And so it's just kind of a test to the systems that people have built. And for us, we've been able to kind of see what's worked and what hasn't within other ecosystems. And so our main focus right now is building kind of the next version of our game built on a couple different pillars that we've been working on in terms of projects that we think will, all kind of converge in July, August for our ecosystem to basically, restrict, I guess, capital flight in a way that's kind of incentivizing people to reinvest, giving them even a better deal for reinvesting and kind of like continuing to lock up in their assets into the future progression of their character within our game, and in doing so, hopefully reduce the amount of capital flight that happens. So yeah, it's been a really interesting experience, kind of seeing massive growth during the bullish times, seeing kind of the market cool off, and try to build things for this next leg of growth that are a bit more sustainable and also just can weather any type of market conditions. So yeah, it's been a challenge, but I think it's possible though. I'm optimistic.
Based off of your research of all these different companies, what other elements do you see as a sustainable model for crypto gaming?
So I completely agree with what Miles said, but my take on it is on a much larger scale, and to look at everything from above. Let's start with the fact that most of the projects that were launched during the play to earn craze, which is very, very similar to the ICO craze that we've seen a few years ago, most of them were and still are either scams or, as I call it, bullshit projects, because there was nothing behind it. And to analyze the current situation of the market is not only impossible, it's unrealistic because of what I just said. And there's not much good to learn from. So that's like the initial take for the industry. Following that, we also have to remember that there are only a few projects that actually launch. There are only a few games that you can actually play, and everything else is in theory. And even the games that you can actually play, they're not real games. Again, it's a pretend to be games. And I'm saying that as a gamer. I didn't mention that when I introduced myself, but I have been playing games since I was very little. I still play games every day on a regular basis. And I can tell you that if I compare traditional games to blockchain-based games, it's practically a joke. I mean, obviously, nobody would like to play games. Now, just let's take as an example Axie Infinity, which is an amazing example, and I have huge respect to the Axie Infinity team. But that's not a game. I mean, you just press a button and you will win sometimes, even most of the time. That's not a game to me. You don't need to make any effort. You don't need to really understand what you're doing, and so on and so on. And that's exactly what the blockchain-based games are worth at most at the moment. Beside all of that, and with regards to your specific question about the research that we've done, so first of all, token economics is the basics of any crypto project, not just play-to-earn projects or games, but every crypto project out there. The token economics level for most of the play-to-earn projects is completely either fake or completely not realistic if you actually dive into it. And there's a reason for it, because most of the projects just copy-paste from other projects, and the other projects don't have a clue on what they're doing. So everybody keeps copy-pasting from one another. And that's the majority of the industry at the moment. Besides that, and obviously I have much more to say, but that's going to be the last point for this specific question. Everything around the game mechanics that we've seen, or potential game mechanics that we've seen, again, is not relevant for real high-quality games. The graphic design for most of the projects that were launched until now is maybe something that I saw when I was playing games 20, 25 years ago. So obviously everything that we look at the industry at the moment is not so relevant. What I am excited about is the potential and what we're going to see in the future projects that are being launched soon or will be launched in the next few years.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like a lot of different things to talk about in this space, right? I think what Miles is working on is a game where, you know, in the real life, we're actually moving money. And it makes a lot of sense that it would be a part of this space. But, you know, what is it going to take for us, if it's even what we want to do, to have a game like Fortnite or World of Warcraft in crypto gaming?
Miles, you want to take it, or should I start?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So it's going back to what I mentioned just moments ago. And there are a few projects, including a few of our portfolio companies, that I can tell you that I do have that they have a high potential, and I have a lot of respect to what they did. And it does start with the game mechanics. It goes on to the graphic design, and of course, everything about the planning that I mentioned before. Beside that, I think that some of the potential future projects that are going to be launched, they did something very smart, and that's completely disconnecting the blockchain and crypto part to the game part. And when I say completely disconnecting, it means that when you're playing, it's not registering everything on the blockchain in real time. And it means that you will not be able to cash out within 5 minutes. Maybe you will be able to cash out if you profited this crypto or that cryptocurrency after 5 minutes or after 15 minutes. Now, some of the crypto community people will say, no, that's horrible. If you're not connected to the blockchain and everything is in real time, then it doesn't count. It's not what we came here to do, and so on and so on. I don't think that, because right now it just won't work. And let's take one example of one of the most famous blockchains out there, specifically among other things for games, which is called Solana. Solana keeps stop working every now and then. So how can you even build a project on top of Solana when you can't even trust the blockchain at the moment, and at any given time it can be completely suspended? So I'm not saying that the future is not registering everything on the blockchain in real time. I'm saying right now we are still far from it. And the last part of my answer would be that I think that what we have seen, and I mentioned that the play to earn craze was very similar to the ICO craze, and we see a lot of things that are very similar. And I think it's just one step in the evolution of what we already saw and what we are going to see. And it's completely fine, because everything is completely brand new. Everyone are doing things for the first time. And if I mentioned before Axie Infinity, as much as I don't appreciate the gameplay itself, I think that what Axie Infinity did is amazing. I think that they are pioneers, and I have huge respect for them, but they do need to reconsider everything that they've done from scratch, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with Yavin that a lot of the games are pretty simple, but I think, you know, on the flip side, it's, you know, really complex games like Fortnite or Call of Duty. They take a long time to develop, and part of like crypto and just Web3, which is a good and bad thing, is that the community is kind of giving feedback and you're building in public. So, you know, I think it's kind of a balance you need to strike with, you know, building a complex game, you know, that is more than just very simple graphics, and also actually launching it, because like we've seen even non-crypto games, you know, take several years to launch, and some are in progress, they've been delayed. And, you know, something that, you know, we've kind of done in our history at DG is, you know, we definitely launched things before they were ready. And I think it's, you know, obviously they weren't perfect when we launched them. And so the idea being is like being able to iterate in public, and kind of add more functionality, add different layers and gamification to the actual game based on community feedback, kind of allows us to arrive at a destination sooner, in my opinion, and also give the community a feeling that they're part of the building process. Obviously, some folks say that's a good thing. Some folks say it's a bad thing because there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and a lot of big decisions that should be made by the team. But I think it's definitely a balance you need to strike with the community, giving feedback, but also the team able to actually pursue and deliver on a roadmap. But yeah, I agree completely that the current landscape of games in this space are pretty rudimentary. And for our game, for example, we didn't really innovate on the actual game. We basically recreated poker, a game that's played by a lot of people, that's very simple, in a 3D environment in the metaverse. Now we're building a mobile experience, make it more accessible, because Decentral is a bit hard to access for some folks with not advanced hardware. And so yeah, I think we feel that we're kind of in a position where we actually can deliver on these things and experiment more so with incentives and token models that are actually sustainable. Meanwhile, we're developing this game that's relatively straightforward. But yeah, if someone were to launch something like Fortnite with the correct NFT, custody of items and incentives, I think it'd be massive. It's just a matter of, do those game publishers that can develop these types of games, are they willing to launch a Web3 based game? And if so, how long will it actually take for them to deliver? I'm curious, for Yavin, for your portfolio companies, are some of them going to launch pretty soon, or what's the timeline on some of these more complex games? I'm curious to hear.
Yeah, it's a great question. And by the way, I completely agree with what you said. And the funny thing is that people in our industry think that they can develop a game for a budget of $1 million or $2 million and compete with Fortnite and the other giants that spend hundreds of millions of dollars right now, which is a big joke. But to answer your question, I'll give you one example actually. One of our portfolio companies is called Decimated. And I think that that's a serious potential competitor for Fortnite, actually. And not only they are going to launch soon, they are also going to launch on Steam, which is one of the most well-respected gaming marketplaces out there, marketplace, store, and so on. But I have to tell you that they have been developing this game for a few years already. So it's not really a good comparison to what we are seeing mostly in the industry, which are projects that are developing for a few months or just less than a year. And a second example that I would like to mention is another portfolio company that we invested in, which is called Air Bowlers. And they actually already finished the alpha version, and they will probably be ready to launch in the next few months. So it's very, very exciting, and there are others, but I don't want to start naming all of our portfolio companies. So I'm just giving you 2 examples.
We have 1 minute left, so. Thank you for not listing all of this out. I'm sure it'd be a very long list. So thank you so much for joining us on this panel today. I learned a lot about what the future could look like. We definitely have a long way to go, but I'm super excited to see where we're headed. And if you want to share, how everyone can reach you or check out your products, please post that in the chat and answer any questions that you might have there. Thanks so much today.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.